Hello, this is Defacto Review with me, Jargal Sachen, from Ulaanbaatar now. And we discussed tonight three issues: the war protests at the Russian embassy in Ulaanbaatar, the economic pre-forums held in Ulaanbaatar, the central bank raises the monetary policy rate by 2.5%. These are the major three events happened last week in Mongolia. First, the war protest at the Russian embassy in Ulaanbaatar. The Russian embassy in Mongolia, in its own official Facebook page, published a statement on March 24th. That statement starts, quote and unquote, "For attention of members of the Mongolian Democratic Party and the supporters of the US liberal dominance." That's the head of statement. Then it says about the interview of Roger Stone, a former advisor to the President Trump, to Real America Voice News Agency. He said that the Russian military operation for Donbass has only defensive character. The US mainstream media is not giving the true information. Ukraine is much different than those the image media in the West are trying to project. Ukraine allowed on territory for installation of double hit rockets to attack Russia, and a biolab for producing different viruses to poison the Russians. Ukraine is not a democratic country, etc. That statement was made by Roger Stone, which was quoted in Mongolian and in English in this Russian embassy Facebook page. Then the next day, the Democratic Party of Mongolia made a statement blaming the embassy being rude and non-diplomatic and violating the Vienna Convention. The party demanded the Russian embassy to explain it and an apology for the Democratic Party members, and the ambassador go home. The embassy reacted to this statement by another post, saying, "We do not find any interference in our statement into any internal affairs of the Democratic Party." Then, yesterday, Saturday, the Mongolians made a peaceful demonstration against the war at the Russian embassy building in Ulaanbaatar city. The people also demanded the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia to make a protest note to the Russian embassy. The MFA promised to do so. Two MPs on their social pages asked why a foreign embassy in Mongolia is not talking to the state first. Instead, they are approaching the citizens on any issues. At the end, we do not exclude that soon the problem with food supply happens. Is Mongolia 100% dependent on gasoline and fuel from Russia? That's our first news on what happened about this protest. Second, the economic pre-forum held in Ulaanbaatar. Prior to the annual Mongolian Economic Forum, set for this year on April 7 and 8, each of the 6 objectives of the new revival policy, the revival of energy, border checkpoints, industrial development, urban and rural development, green growth and productivity of government, are being discussed at a series of pre-forums from March 21st to March 29. Here's the brief of energy revival. During this forum, pre-forum, where I was also a moderator, the economists, representative of civic society, professionals, engineers, researchers, have discussed the energy issues of Mongolia with the government, with the sole purpose of this pre-forum is to describe, to outline the major problems and way of solutions, and to bring this statement to the forum itself to be held in April. This forum had discussed about the electricity consumption, demand, supply, and prices of electricity in Mongolia. The electricity consumption of Mongolia has increased by an average of 7 to 8% annually, but domestic energy production is increased by 6 to 7%, 1% less. The load on the central power grid reached a maximum 1.3 gigawatt in 2020, and Mongolia imported the electricity of 245 milliwatt in the same year from Russia and China. And also there was 15 billion MNT spent for import energy for the Western regional grid, which is mostly supplied from Russia. The ministry is going to implement 22 new projects in this sector, according to this energy revival policy. The minister highlighted that the construction of the 450 megawatt power stations, coal support power stations in Tavan Talgay, where the Oyu Talgay, the largest foreign investment project, one of the largest in the world, copper project, will take electricity, which they are currently taking from China. For this Tavan Talgay power station project, it will be financed by the state, and the state founded, state-owned, separate company for that. The new sources of energy Mongolia needs. The nuclear will be introduced and developed in Mongolia. Research on hydrogen should be carried out. Mongolia also plans to use gas from natural gas pipeline connecting Russia and China through the territory of Mongolia. Currently, there are 9 power plants and thermal power plants, 3 diesel electric power plants, 7 hydropower plants, 3 wind farms, and 7 solar power plants in Mongolia. Hydropower plants in Mongolia fully supported energy supply in some sumans already, some sumans in the western provinces. And also the ministry had started a new project, 90 megawatt Irtinburun hydropower plant, which the project will start in April. And it will be financed by the agreement with Chinese soft loan. Price of electricity in Mongolia is 50% lower than its cost. The tariff is not changed for the last 7 years. The system has lost almost every year some loss, but in year 2021 it was 70 billion MNT. There is also transmission and distribution systems which are becoming very old and obsolete, which need replacement. And yet Mongolia is planning to make new cities and new free economic zones. So electricity and heating tariffs need to be increased. There is no other choice, as we will have very difficult winter at the end of this year, and the country maybe need to impose restrictions if the current rate will continue. So the ministry is suggesting to increase tariff by 28% this year, soon, I mean. At the forum, the professionals discussed not only the need of increase the tariff, but also to increase the efficiency of the industry sector, in particular production, transmission, and distribution systems. So now let's go to the third point. This is the central bank raises the policy rate by 2.5% last week. And there is a monetary policy committee at the Central Bank of Mongolia. After long discussions, they have decided to increase the policy rate to 9% instead of 6.75 previously. And from last Thursday, we have now a new rate. What does that mean? It means there will be increased back the saving. The commercial banks have to increase the saving rate, which was decreased substantially at the beginning of last year. And the people instead keeping almost, because it was way down, only 5 to 7% in Tugriks, almost zero in US dollar. So there was quite less interest for people to save money in their saving account. And people were expecting that there will be substantial loan interest rate decreased, which did not happen. However, the savings a bit increased last year, but due to other reasons where inflation is now coming up, about 15% total in the country, a bit down, a bit higher in Ulaanbaatar city, lower in the countryside, but the price coming constantly for last month due to international situations and also due to domestic logistic problems and the supply from China through Chinese port, all other goods. You know, out of 373 products in our inflation estimation basket, 200 of them are imported products. So Mongolia quite much importing inflation as well. It goes along with the decrease of Mongolian Tugriks value, which one Tugrik, which was previously around 2,800, now a couple of days ago, it reached 3,000, though it is about now back, now at the level of 2940 level. So it's very close to 3,000, which along with the inflation really hit the living standard of people, particular people who have a low income. So that's the situation now in Mongolia, and hopefully they will increase, the market will increase the saving, which does not help to have more loans to the market, as the loan rate will be increased substantially. That's what is expected from the market. So these are three issues I would like to bring to you from the three events happened last week in Mongolia. Thank you.